So today's a pretty cool day and the start of something new for us. We don't always start with a brand new vehicle, but our friends at H.B. Fuller and GorillaPro Products reached out to us and they wanted us to build the ultimate service vehicle. I mean, they are giving us carte blanche on what we want to do, and I'm thinking big, tall work truck, just massively cool. And this is what we're starting with. H.B. Fuller's GorillaPro product line ensures reliability when reassembling this entire vehicle. I mean, think of it this way. Your fittings aren't gonna leak, your nuts and bolts are not gonna vibrate loose, and your threads are gonna stay fastened. Get you some of that.
It is Monday. We're about to start putting any level lift on. We chose any level because Richard said that we need the best, baddest lift possibly can do. Well, there's no better lift than any level. A lot of people are gonna say, well, it's just a pavement princess, blah, blah, whatever. If you go to Whistle and Diesel's site and look at what the abuse he put any level through, it'll withstand anything. So me, Brandon, and Joey are gonna knock this thing out, and hopefully by the end of the week, it's a roller.
So on the driver's side of the truck here, there's a coil bucket where the factory coil spring would go. And the any level system uses an arm mount here with a lever arm attached to a ram. So in order to make clearance for that, we have to cut the coil bucket off. On the passenger side, it gets removed completely. On the driver's side here, we actually retain a portion of it to mount the ABS module. I got that all cut off, all prepped up, and we're just gonna seal up the ends with some weld, and we'll be ready to start drilling holes to mount the bucket. We can go ahead, punch that through.
Okay.
And we can do that on both sides. And then we'll go ahead and get the rear bucket hung on there. Perfect. And we can mark the other holes that we need.
Perfect. All right, so we're working on the rear buckets. I drilled that 1 3/8 hole. Now we're marking the hole out for the inside because the bolt goes all the way through. And then there's 2 bolts that bolt to the hitch. Because the 2022s, the hitch is different, the holes don't quite line up, so we're just gonna oval those out so we can get the bolt all the way through. But I gotta mock it up so I can mark the holes, and then we'll drill it. We'll paint where we cut into the frame, and then we'll put the buckets on totally. So I'm using this medium strength thread locker here to protect against shock and vibration on this badass truck, so we don't ever have any bolts come loose, because that'd be a bad day.
So you see that slotted hole?
Yeah, the slotted hole.
Yep. So our bolt will go up through here, and then we'll shove this all the way forward. Yeah, so we want to just kind of make sure that's centered up.
Okay.
So we got working on this thing this morning. We got the rear arm mounts mocked up, subframe link mounts, rear cross member. We're working on doing the front cross member now. We're gonna go ahead and assemble the rear subframe for the airbag setup that we have. This is a dual rear wheel truck. So in parallel with the coilovers, we also have an airbag as a helper spring. So that'll all travel with the hydraulic action, and that'll work throughout the entire 13-inch range. So we're gonna get cranking away on that. So part of setting up this airbag subframe, this was designed in order to keep everything as tight as possible to the frame rail. That way we can get a common tire size that we run is like a 40, 15, 50. So with those being as wide as they are, everything has to be sucked in close to the frame to allow articulation for the tires and keep them off of the subframe here. So tolerances are really tight, but we'll get this thing dialed in and be good to go.
So we got our clock ring here to bring the transfer case down so we can still use our front drive shaft at 13 inches without it binding up. Underneath that is our new front cross member. And these side pieces go in right over here just to connect everything all together and make it super strong between the frame, front, and the cross member.
Me and Brandon are just putting the front and rear axles together. I'm redoing the brake lines to just make them look a little cleaner because the factory ones don't fit now that we have the brackets on for the 4-link and the airbags. And then he's just assembling all the steering stuff on the front axle. That way we can get the axles under the truck maybe tomorrow.
This right here is our flow divider. And basically what it does is it takes the hydraulic fluid through this block and then sends it to both hydraulic cylinders that lifts up the truck. Just mounted right here underneath the bed. Never be seen, won't ever be seen, but this is where that all disperses from. So our next step is we're gonna be hooking up these hydraulic cylinders to our flow dividers. And then Chase put some nice heat shrink on these lines, made them super clean. Those just go like that. And then we should have some movement pretty soon.
So we're putting the main lines in for the front. We're going to start in the front, clock our 90s, and then work our way back to make sure our hoses are straight all the way down, and then we can start attaching these to the frame. Then once the box is up, we can hook it to the box and start plating the system.
So we're actually gonna go
Up over
here.
the exhaust mat.
Yeah, so we keep it away from the exhaust, so we go over the outside here, run along this harness.
H and B are currently getting the rest of the electrical hooked up. We got the mount box in, and I'm gonna start filling up the system with hydraulic fluid. It takes about 2 gallons, one in the lines, and then one in the auxiliary tank to get this full system going. And we should have stuff moving pretty shortly.
We just finished up the electrical up front. Joey put the fluid in the pump. Now we're gonna send some fluid up to the lines and hopefully see some movement, but we gotta bleed a bunch of air out of the system. So, could take a couple minutes, but be all right.
We'll start with filling the front lines. We start with the rams and the lever arms all the way down. We'll get fluid up to the front.
Okay.
And then we'll have to keep topping the tank off as we go. We
Right.
don't want to run that dry.
Get
air in there.
Pushing air up to the front, right?
So we'll keep that topped off. We'll get the front moving first, and then we'll get the rear working, and then should be good to go.
Sounds good. Let's get it going. we got American Forces. We got one of their new designs that they just came out with. Those are in a 24 by 14 in the front and then a 24 in the rear dually. And we're doing 40, 15, 50, 24s. So we have to run a spacer off the stock bolt pattern. Then we'll run the Big 10 adapter. Then we'll put a wheel and then another 2-inch Big 10 spacer and then another wheel. And we're only doing that because a 1550, they'll touch. And if you get any weight, they'll start creating hot spots on the side of the sidewall and you'll start blowing out tires. So all we're doing is creating an air gap in between the wheels. It won't affect the ride quality, it won't hurt the truck at all, but it's gonna be wide. We don't have to put them on outside the lift because we won't be able to get out of the lift if we put them on now. Probably gonna need to go with fifths. Those tires are probably gonna be a little heavy for them, and there's 6 of them. So y'all have to take the dually. So air it up and get on.
Want me to tell you one of my life lesson stories?
Sure.
I don't have any.
In 1 mile,
I haven't
turn
learned
left
shit.
onto North.
Where's everybody?
I ain't unloading myself.
So Fury hooked us up with their Country Hunter MT2s. I think it's their newest one. Those are 1550 40s, and I am 6'4".
So these are basically the helper bags for the dualies. Go right here, just like that, and then you put some red thread blocker on this bowl.
UPS brought this thing, so what's the deal with it?
So this is a gearbox. All the trucks come with hydro assist steering. So no matter if you're running 40-inch tires or 42s,
Right.
that'll help turning this thing. You'll be able to turn this thing right on a dime. So it's the last piece of the puzzle we were waiting for.
So we just got our gearbox in, our pitman arm in. Now we can finally throw in this other arm, get this all moving smoothly. Then we'll have the coilovers hooked up, then we can get these axles off these stands.
Shout out to Magnaflow for always hooking us up. Double cages. Found its own weight. Pretty big. I haven't stepped away from it, but that's pretty big where I come from.
We'll get close the hood, stand back, just make sure this thing's nice and level. If we have to make any minor adjustments to the coilovers,
Okay.
we'll do that. And then we'll start the alignment process. Once the alignment process is done, then we'll put the panhard mechanism in.
Okay.
And then we'll move forward to the steering and then sway bar.
Perfect.
So get after it.
We just got our Douglas truck bodies, and just by looking at this thing is super rad. They did a killer job on building it, fully custom. I think it took them 6 or 7 weeks, so they pretty much knocked it out of the park on this one. When I called them, they answered, so I'm stoked to get it all finished up and put on. Well, the spare tire box uses a spare tire cable to help it lower down. The box doesn't have a hole in it to get to the spare tire mount. We have to adjust one of the valves, so we got to make the hole and then make one out here. All right, Joey, so how do we set this thing up?
All right, so, well, I already have it all set up from my phone when we were setting up the truck, but basically you just go scan local devices.
Okay.
GoPro. And it's all right here. Chase is still gonna add in some more switches for the rock lights and stuff, but for right now, all your controls are right on this iPad.
Perfect. All right, so we got pretty much everything mocked up now. We're gonna take it for a rip. So these guys want to make sure that everything's good before they head back to New York in case we have a vibration or something, just little stuff we got to tweak out. But so it's literally just set up for a test drive.
What's up? So I'm back from Spain. It was a hell of a trip, and I gotta tell you, I really missed one thing. I missed my trusty little cooler right here. I mean, they don't have my favorite beer in Spain. And so this is probably the happiest I've been in a few days. As a matter of fact, I missed all you little babies too. Look at all y'all all cute and cold. Oh yeah.
Farewell, my friends. I go on to a better place.
You. Heck yeah. Oh. It's good to be home. What the hell? Did those guys already build this damn truck?
Dude, you're back.
Yeah, but I mean, what the hell? I didn't think we were starting this thing until around now.
Well, no, we're pretty much rocking and rolling.
What's up, man? How was it?
It's good.
What's up, guys? I'm Rich.
Brandon.
Brandon.
and Joey.
Joey, nice to meet you.
Right on. Damn, you guys have been kicking some ass and taking names. This thing was just a stock truck when I left.
Yeah, you want to see this shit?
Is it on an iPad?
Yeah. You know everything for your phone. Or an iPad.
That is freaking wicked.
And then here's the best part, check this out. So you can do this while you're driving down the road.
You can?
Yeah, so now like an air ride setup or any other dynamic lift kit or lowering kit, whereas if you change the height on the road, if the steering wheel moves because that all the whole front end goes out of whack,
Yeah.
you can drive straight down the road and the steering wheel won't move.
That is freaking rad. That's why you guys are the best, huh?
That's what we do.
You want to show them how that works up front?
How long did it take y'all to install?
Right around 3 days. We're just fine tuning right now.
Really?
We had 3 guys on 3 days here.
That is wicked.
Yeah, basically, we have a couple patents on this stuff. So, track bar back here, that's what's keeping the body centered over the axle, and this is the steering. So basically, the way that this mechanism works is as the truck lowers, it kicks out on this slider, and then this basically folds up on itself. So this travels in a straight line,
I get it.
and that's what keeps the axle centered and keeps your steering wheel straight throughout the.
That's a lot of Heim joints and a lot of adjustment you got built into that thing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on up here, but it works really, really well.
How many of these kits have y'all put out?
I think we're about 180.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 180.
I thought you were going to say like a few thousand or something.
No, we started we debuted at SEMA in 2016, and just been growing the business. Right now, it's there's 6 of us at the shop, so we're still a small crew, but
There's not 6 at your shop now. There's only 4.
yep,
Yeah, that's true.
we're down a couple guys.
Well, I thought it was going to take 5 solid days, and you're like 3.5 in.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of fine tuning, you might be done at 4, huh?
Yep. Yeah, we've been cranking away.
That is so freaking wicked. That is a lot of stuff. I mean, when Chase told me what he wanted, I was like, yeah, I think I've seen it, at SEMA or whatever. I said, but come on, now you see it, up close on a brand new truck. This is wicked cool.
Yeah, Aaron put a bunch of R&D into this, and I think it fucking turned out great.
So it's just on the stock wheels and tires, right?
Yeah, we're waiting on wheels to show up for American Force.
It's gonna have these bad boys on it?
Yeah, so that'll be a steamroller in the front.
What?
And then you want a little bit smaller, you don't want to go crazy on the tire just for the simple fact that you can lower in any level. So you can cruise down the road, we can go straight down the highway and drop that thing on 40s.
But we can't turn.
You can turn a little bit, but you can't actually make an actual full turn.
Okay.
But cruising down the highway at 70, you can drop this thing all the way down.
How high do we have to be to turn?
I think you could be probably 3/4 of the way up.
On a 40, you can get like an 8-inch lift, and you can turn there.
Okay, what is my lift?
0 to 13.
Yeah.
0 to 13. Why 13? Is that some kind of magic number? Or?
After that, you start running into drive shaft issues. The angles get steeper. Trying to combat that.
That is so daggone cool. And on the back,
It's
still going to be dually, right?
Yeah, it's still going to be dually. So because they are stock wheels on oversized tires, they were going to rub the coil, so we decided not to ruin the powder coat before it's even done. So this will be in just a little bit further, but that's about how wide it'll be.
Holy cow.
Yeah, this thing will be rolling wide.
That's pretty freaking wicked. And the bed showed up.
And the bed showed up. The bed's super kick-ass. So Douglas Truck Bodies did this bed for us. So all their stuff will be in here. And then we'll do a couple product displays on the sides. They'll have some products up here. Wet Sounds also gave us speakers for the outside, so they can do audio, and then we'll be able to.
You can slide it like a body in there.
I was already in there today.
Oh, you had to put the lights in, I bet.
Yeah, well, I had to drill the hole for the spare tire crank so we can crank the hydraulics back up into the spare tire.
So we'll still have a spare.
No, well.
Yeah, I should say, because that's where the controls had to go and everything.
Yeah, so everything that runs the hydraulics is under here, all packed in a little compartment.
Damn, that is good looking.
Yeah, we cleaned up the brake lines a lot. Tried to make it as nice and neat as possible.
The dual rear wheel setup that we have here has another 4-link that it's actuated with the hydraulics. So that's attached to the airbag. So it has hydraulics, coilover, and airbags, and that basically just acts as a helper spring. And it worked really good on this application with how heavy the body is. So that's any lost travel.
Yeah.
That'll recapture it. So
Yeah, this bed is 2,250 pounds. So we're putting a lot of weight on the back of this thing. We still got to level out the bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bed looks a little.
Yeah, bed's a little off, but there's a lot of bed work we got to do to it. This is the main focal point, so we gotta.
Will it be further forward?
Yeah, I think once we drop down the front, because that's what's messed up right now. I think once we drop down the front, it'll close that gap up a lot.
Dang, that's gonna be sick.
And then we'll do the interior all nice.
Unbelievable, man.
So yeah,
80 level lift, huh?
any level. And it rides like a Cadillac. It rides almost better than stock.
That's pretty freaking cool. All right, so I don't recognize these.
Yeah, so these are from Fury. This is their Country Hunter MT2, which is one of their newest lines. It has a little bit better, more aggressive tread pattern.
They're right around the corner.
Yeah, they were just up there in Irving. They picked them up from. I think Cindy and the Tips went.
Yeah, because one of the kids that used to work for us works up there.
Yeah.
All right, well, hopefully they gave them to us for nothing.
He got us a pretty good deal.
I love it. It's got the right look for the truck.
Right.
Cool, man. You guys deserve a beer. Is it that time?
It's that time.
Any level lift gets any amount of beers. So I got to tell you, when I was gone to Spain, I figured I'd get back and they'd be just getting started making this truck. And you know, here at Gas Monkey, you've seen us build a lot of trucks, but they're always low and slammed and aren't airbags and what have you. This one's high and slammed and aren't airbags, but this any level lift thing, I mean, shameless plug for these guys, because that is badass, killer R&D. And they got here, they sent out 2 of their best installer guys because This is a hellacious install. I'm told it's a 172-page instruction manual, and they wanted to make sure that we were right as rain and ready to rock and roll. Gas Monkey's never been those guys that go, we could do anything better than anybody else. When there's an expert available, get their help, get them in there. So I couldn't be more happy. I know GorillaPro is gonna lose it on this. And now we got a run and drive and lifted truck. Unless we want to press the button, then it's a run and drive and lowered truck.
All right, so we just got done with our anti-lift install, and it's really cool that we get to use a customer's product on a customer's build because that normally doesn't happen. All right, so we used our medium strength thread locker for all of our serviceable items like our steering gearbox and our drive shaft bolts and stuff like that. Stuff that you would take off and, well, service. And then we used our high strength red thread locker to, for everything that you don't want to come off, like pieces that on the suspension, like these cradles down here. If those fall off, you lose everything. And then our pipe and thread sealant, we put on our Schrader valves on our airbags so that way make sure we don't have any leaks. Can't have an air leak on an airbag and then one side go down and one side stay up. So that's super important. That's just a rundown of what we used on this episode. Stay tuned for next episode because it's gonna get even better.